Hello folks, welcome back to another review and thoughts on. This time I just checked out a pretty decent old flick, black and white. It's a Roman Polanski flick. I'm not really a big fan of him. I heard of him by Rosemary's Baby. I never saw it. I saw clips of it, but I know he has a history, a very bad history, so I'm not going to go into that, but I'm not really fond of him as a person, I'll just say that. But his direction in this film, I didn't mind. The film is Repulsion. It's a psychological horror film directed by him and also based on a story by him and another guy who also wrote the screenplay with somebody else. It stars Catherine Deneuve, or Devine, I'm not sure how to say her name, but she is gorgeous, I'll say that. It's basically her character named Carol. She's a manicurist, very timid, very shy around people, mostly men. She's very uncomfortable around them. The film explores, so it's the ending. Okay, the acting is good. I liked Catherine's acting. The other characters are fine. The story with her whole basically repulsion of men trying to get at her. This is not really a typical cliche. This is not a supernatural film at all. Which I guess Roman is known for doing, since he did Rosemary's Baby. A lot of his horror must be supernatural. This isn't really supernatural. It's more of character character study, really, of a woman who we don't really know why she is the way she is, such as why she's so driven away from men, even though she's like gorgeous. But you can tell there's something off about her because she'll stare off into days. Even at work, like she does her manicuring thing at work, and like she'll just sit there and stare off into space, or she'll be doing the woman's nails, and then she'll just still be like in her own world. And the hallucinations of her are kind of creepy and downright scary. Where there was this pretty good scene. It actually, I don't know if maybe, I think because I had it up too loud, it wasn't really a jump scare, but it was executed pretty good. I'll give the movie that, because it's like the first scary thing that happens is she's in her sister's room because her sister Catherine lives with her older sister in London in an apartment with her boyfriend, who Carol doesn't like at all. She doesn't like men at all. So, and some people argue back and forth. Oh, she's bi. It's essentially maybe she's bi. That's why she doesn't like men. Or, but then you can have debates on this character and why she is the way she is. Maybe she was, maybe her dad back in the day when she was younger did something to her, or something. Like a lot. I read on Wikipedia that was one of the themes, or one of the guesses, maybe her dad or somebody in her family might have scarred her for life like that and did that to her. But yeah, I like that and the ending's kind of odd because she ends up catatonic. At first I thought she died, maybe, because everybody's just, like the apartment people, like they're all nebbing, coming in, and they see her on the floor, not even, it looks like she's dead, but she's like, at one point her eyes are open, but then the next scene when the guy comes in, her boyfriend and her sister, her eyes are closed, and he picks her up to take her out wherever, and then she looks at him and faintly smiles, I think, or winks, kind of, tries to move her eyes, and then he's smiling at her a little bit. I didn't understand that, so that's kind of odd. I didn't understand that. And then the camera pans around the room, in the living room, and it ends on a picture of her and her family taking a picture. Everybody's smiling except her. She's staring out. She's either... I looked at it like she was staring out into whatever, like in a daze, but then I read on Wikipedia, it looks like she's staring at the older man, the dad, I guess, or whoever that guy was. Maybe her uncle or whoever. She has a pretty rough... Well, not even rough. Anyway, I'll get to some of this stuff I liked. But yeah, the story overall is... we watch her go insane, slowly. And even though she kind of is already off balance, matter of speaking. But yeah, her sister and her sort of get along, but not really, because she doesn't like men in the apartment. But she doesn't really, like, yell or... Like, she doesn't have an attitude about it, but she's kind of just distant and, you know, almost frightened of... Not even almost, she's frightened of men. I mean, this guy that her boyfriend's dating, whatever, he seems okay, but also kind of, I don't know, douchey maybe. One point, yeah, like the one point where they're supposed to have dinner, because this one guy, offers, like, he wants to have dinner with, Carol. I don't know if maybe she already knew this guy. I mean, I guess she must already knew him, because she's not really scared of him, but at the same time she's distant. And this random guy, like, asks her out on a date, and she's like, I am, or she pretty much tells him that she's having dinner with her sister, so then he makes a plan for them to go tomorrow night. You know, he didn't really ask her permission, he just makes it for them. And then at one point, the guy busses in her apartment. But I'll get to that. And he asks, did I do something wrong? But I'll get to that. Anyway, the movie, so she's supposed to have dinner with her sister and boyfriend, but then at the house, or at the apartment. But then the boyfriend looks at because they're going to eat rabbit or whatever, and he's like, oh, I guess it'll take too long or whatever. Because he comes there early. So he's like, I'll take you out for dinner, even though she had this all planned. And so then she's like, oh, okay. So then Helen is kind of sad that they're going out instead. Like, I guess she's not going. I guess it's just those two that are going out on the date instead. But then eventually the sister and the boyfriend end up leaving off on a vacation and leave her alone. I'm like, the way she acts, I don't know if really leaving her alone is the best choice. Yeah, she goes to work every day, and then she has weird hallucinations of the apartment, like the walls are like cracking a little bit. Like, there's like, you know that scene in Wes Craven's New Nightmare where they're having the earthquake, and like you see you see like cracks in the wall, and it's pretty much Freddy's claws shape of Freddy's claws in the wall. That's sort of like what these cracks reminded me of, except they'll end up just opening up the walls. At one point there's this cool shot at the end before her sister and boyfriend come back. She ends up laying in her bed, and like she stares up at the ceiling, and it's like she's levitating, but the camera's drawing in the ceiling. It's like, it's sort of like the camera zooms in. It's with her. It's her point of view, but it's the ceiling coming at her as she's also moving toward. It's, I like that. Again, the first scare is she's going in her sister's room, and she's looking at her. She goes in her closet, looks at clothes, tries on this one gown or whatever, dress, and as she closes the mirror door, you get a brief black shadow outline of a man, or pretty much a man, but it's really quick, and it like goes really. She like closes it, and then she looks and nobody's there, or she hears noises at night where she'll hear footsteps walking around in the apartment. And at one point, I guess she barricades her door with her dresser, but then the door, and pretty much I was confused. I don't know if maybe this is a fear that she has, or if this happened to her as a child, and maybe that's why. But pretty much, it zooms in. The camera's facing at the door with the dresser against it, and then the door opens, and this man comes out of nowhere out the doorway and forces himself on her. And we get a few scenes like that throughout the movie. And each time, like when it ends, she like wakes up, either her hair's all messy, or at one point, this awesome. Well, it's not really awesome, but this hot scene where after that happens in the morning, she's like laying on her front, but like it's not really, she's not really nude, but at the same time, like underneath she is. Like the way she was laying, it was, wow. I mean, even the gown that she wears, you can sort of see through a little bit, but and this isn't really, I don't want to call it a slasher, because it's not really, like, the kills aren't really, this isn't really, like, don't go into this thinking it's going to be like a body count movie, because it's not. I mean, the premise is interesting. Again, a woman holds herself up really in her apartment and goes insane. The more isolated she is, the more insane, I guess, she becomes. At one point, the guy, like, keeps pursuing her on dates. He wants to go out on dates with her. He ends up going to the apartment and knocking on the door, and like, he's like, "Carol, let me in, or I just want to talk, or I'll break the door down." And he literally does break the door. He like literally, I'm like, wow, this guy is like, he really wants her. And then he asks, like, "Is it something I did?" Like, she's just not even looking at him. She's like all frightened. Really startled her the moment he started banging up against the wall, or against the door. Because he's like, I'll break this door down. Don't make me break this door down. And then he does it. And then the neighbor across from her apartment staring as he's having this conversation with her. And Carol's not saying anything. She's just still looking down or looking away from him. And this guy's just talking and talking. And then the neighbor is in the background. She's staring right in the hallway. And the dog pretty much breaks that and barks. And then she ends up going in her apartment. And then he goes to close the door. And this is a pretty creepy kill angle shot where as he goes to close the door, the camera is point of view of the door hole. And you see the outside, you see it through the peephole. You see in that, but then you see blood splatter on the door as well. So you get that she pretty much hit him. Then starts hitting him. I mean, the way she's doing it, like, really just soft, kind of. Like, I know this is, 65, whatever. I get the censors were up people's butts, and they still are today, but Yet movies like Saw can get away with so much gore in them, but this movie, whatever. But yeah, I liked camera shots in it. Again, I like that one scene where she's looking at her sister's clothes, and like she closes the closet door with a mirror and a brief appearance of a dark shadow. I can't really say I like anything in the. I mean, I guess at the beginning, like the first 20 minutes are kind of boring because it's just her. I mean, I wasn't really bored, but at the same time, it was kind of something going to happen. I mean, watching her in scenes is interesting. When it's her, like, you know, going to work and then she's staring into space or whatever, or having hallucinations, and she stares at cracks. Like, there's I guess, like this one scene where the guy, I guess, either she didn't even agree to go out on a date with that guy, and he's like mad that she didn't show up. He's like, you had me waiting all day, or for an hour, and she was just sitting. She was like sitting in a center of like a street or something, on a bench, and like she's staring at the crack in the ground, and then he walks up to her and is all mad about it, and I'm like, and we don't really know much about this guy. I really don't know anything about him. So, I mean, granted, we don't really know much about Carol either, because the only thing we know about her is that she works as a manicurist, and she lives with her sister and doesn't like men. At one point, there's one weird part where she sees, like, I guess, her sister's boyfriend's shirt on the floor in the bathroom, and she goes to pick it up, and as she's about to throw it away, she ends up sniffing it, and then she throws it away, and then she feels sick, she feels really ill, and she vomits, off screen, of course. And so that was kind of eerie, a little weird. And then there's this one creepy scene where she's ironing like a man's shirt, but the iron is not even plugged in. So she's like ironing, but not really ironing. So that was creepy. At one point, she barricades the door, like with only one piece of wood. And there's this landlord that keeps pestering them about the rent. At one point, she pays him the rent, and then he tries to come on to her, even though looks like she's scared and nervous and timid, not even trying to look at him, and he still is like talking to her like and then like at one point she decides, like, he forces himself on her at one point, and she ends up cutting him in the back of the neck, and he stumbles to look in the mirror and like, she really do that? And then she just starts has like this razor blade and just starts cutting him. And granted, the way the effects, I mean, it was, again, the 60s, so mid-60s, so you can't really do but so much gore and blood in your horror flicks. But yeah, I guess, I swear maybe it was him breathing, the boyfriend, but then, like, the guy she was supposed to go out on a date with, she ends up killing him, which I already said a couple minutes ago, but she kills him through the people or whatever, and puts his body in the bathtub. But then, by the end, when the sister and boyfriend come back from their trip, and they see the aftermath of stuff, and the sister goes in there, and then her boyfriend goes in there, and you hear, like, breathing of them. I don't know if it was him hyperventilating, or it was the guy that she put in the bathtub, who looks already dead anyway, so I didn't understand that part. I don't know if maybe it was him breathing that loud like that, or what. But yeah, overall the movie I didn't mind it. I don't think it's. I can't really say it's a amazing movie. I will say I liked the acting by the lead lady, Catherine. Um, Again, camera shots are good in certain scenes. The idea is interesting. Um, the ending is pretty decent, but kind of confusing as well. Depend on how you take it, how you want to see it, I guess. Um, I mean, granted, it's not really a downbeat ending, but at the same time, it's because like the sister lives and the boyfriend lives, but I don't really know if I don't know if really care about anybody except maybe Catherine or not Catherine, Carol. Maybe a little bit, but then at the same time, it's like she's a murderer, but she's crazy. I don't know, but yeah, overall I like the film. I don't really have any problems with it except for, again, a bit with the ending where the boyfriend's smiling at Carol as he's carrying her out a little bit. Like, I didn't understand why he would do that. Yeah, overall, I liked the film. But, yeah, stay tuned for more reviews. And, you can either join my Patreon or BitChute channel for better stuff. And, requesting stuff is through PayPal if you want to request any movie commentaries on movies or series. But yeah, check you later, and peace and love.